As a dungeon master, sometimes we're looking for the perfect monster for low-level parties, and we'll bypass some of the old faithfuls. And so Lizardfolk is something that's come up quite a bit in my feed for some reason, and they're a monster, a tribe, a group that I love pitting against lower-level parties, but not for the basic reasons. Lizardfolks are an amazing group of monsters to actually use on a party of any size, but not because they're stat block, because of what they are. Let's talk about it. If you take a look at the Lizardmen's stat block, what you're going to find is a decent AC of 15, an average hit points of 22, but they are dumb and they're not charismatic, allowing your spellcasters a chance to use some int-based or charisma-based saves. Now, you can telegraph these things as a player, as a dungeon master, and tales are told of Lizardfolk to give your players an insight on what to use, because it's not like these creatures are mythical creatures. They're creatures that most likely have been encountered before, and there's something about them that is problematic. But the stat block is only one part of the actual wonders of the Lizardmen. So let's talk about the reasons I love Lizardmen and how we can actually use them. Lizardmen are strong, they're tough, they're not charismatic, but they're cunning. They are hunters, and that's how I treat Lizardmen. Lizardmen have a move speed of 30, a swim speed of 30, and can hold their breath, which means that if you put your players in an area like a swamp, the Lizardmen can use hit and run tactics that the players are not going to be able to follow. Also, Lizardmen are not dumb as far as in going to follow in a blind rage. They're going to hit. When they get hurt, they're going to retreat, and then they're going to get reinforcements. So the way that you use Lizardmen is you use them as hunters. Imagine being a party going through the wilderness, and the Lizardmen are hunting them. They see snidbits of them. They successfully make some of their perception checks, but that doesn't mean combat happens then. It means they see the Lizardmen at a distance, always out of range, but right there. If the players actually decide to attack the Lizardmen, then they go get reinforcements to kill the party. Maybe the Lizardmen are just hunting them to see what they're doing, to make sure that they stay out of their territory, which leads us to some of the other ways we can use Lizardmen. Because Lizardmen are hunters, you can use them as such. With a decent stealth, a good swim speed, you can actually have a small band of Lizardmen become a hell for the parties, attacking them at night. Even if the party has night vision or dark vision, they're still going to struggle to see the Lizardmen stealthing up in the darkness of night. Maybe the Lizardmen are there to steal their food, to take their weapons, as the players make camp. Lizardmen make an amazing hit and run. When someone's standing watch and they do a perception check, that doesn't mean they necessarily see the Lizardmen. In fact, the Lizardmen can still get into the camp, steal what they want to steal, and leave, and the players would have never seen them coming in at night. It's an amazing group to where they have a high survival skill. They're going to track the party. The party may attempt to pass without trace. If they have a ranger, if they have someone, it can get the Lizardmen off their tracks. This is a great cat and mouse game that you should be playing with Lizardmen and the parties. Give that some thought the next time you want a swamp-based encounter, or if you actually want to make travel interesting and not just a confrontation that happens at night. Utilize their stealth, utilize their survival skills, and also utilize their swim speed. Lizardmen are also territorial. Imagine that if you as our party are walking along kind of the edge of the path, the edge of a river, and on the other side is a band of Lizardmen holding their spears, holding their shields, watching the party. They don't engage, they don't attack, but the party now knows they're there. If you want to create tension, this is a way to show the territory that is the Lizardmen's territory. And when you get further downstream, realizing that I now have to cross this river into the Lizardmen's territory. Are we going to fight? Are we going to be able to converse? Can we offer them something? Lizardmen are territorial, at least how I treat them. And in such leads to some amazing encounters because you can show the party, here's the bad guy, here's the Lizardmen. What are you going to do about it? So use that when you're using Lizardmen. Make them territorial. Make them not necessarily attack. Make them, what are they defending? What are they trying to keep the party away from? Maybe it's an idol, maybe it's a relic, maybe it's a shrine that's theirs, or maybe it's their families. That territory is defined by usually geography. Maybe they run into different bands of Lizardmen that are territorial against one another. And there's one singular path between the lands, which is no Lizardman land. A river where the party has to go between two warring tribes. So remember that. Lizardmen are territorial. Have fun with it. There's a lot you can do there. Another thing you can do with Lizardmen is have them be protective of their young. But Lizardmen also, if they're young, have to prove themselves to enter adulthood. kind of like what we see stereotypical tribal style societies built into. Not going into any specific tribal society, and I'm talking about the romanticism of those societies. In lots of cultures, a man has to show himself, a woman has to show themselves, a person has to show that they are capable of being an adult in that society. You can create whatever culture you want the lizardmen to have, and we're not going to single any culture out, but what about when the parent has to take the young with them, and the young has to kill something or has to get something of value to bring back to the tribe? Maybe that young talks to the party as opposed to attacks them, or maybe they try to steal from the party, or maybe they try to attack the party. And then when they do, the adult comes in to protect the young. Or what about happens when the party stumbles across a bunch of young lizardmen that are still in their infancy, and the lizardmen return with food for the day? What battle does that look like? Do the party go ahead and attack and kill the lizardmen, or do they retreat, allowing the lizardmen to create a barrier between them and the young and allow that retreat to happen, and the lizardmen don't chase because they're leaving the territory? It allows for a dynamic of encounter when the young are involved, because if the lizardmen as a race, as a monster, as a creature are protective of their young, it allows for some amazing things. Now remember, lizardmen are dumb. They're usually a 6 or 7 on the intelligence scale, so they're not animalistic, but they're not your normal commoner either. So food for thought on how to utilize that family dynamic that I like when lizardmen, as far as a race go, are protective of their young. The other thing when using lizardmen that we have to remember is they should be around water. Lizardmen have a swim speed of 30 feet. They can hold their breath for over an hour. So if you're not using waterways to help lizardmen move around the battlefield and even dash through waters at 60 feet under the water, you're not going to be able to see them when they're doing that. It's going to make spellcasting, ranged attacks difficult, and getting to them in melee also difficult. You can also use that water to move the lizardmen away and then have them attack at range, have them attack over a river. There's lots of ways to use that swim speed, but don't forget that. Don't just put lizardmen up against a party on dry land, have them clash, and whoever dies, dies. These are semi-intelligent creatures. They would swim away. They will escape. When they're injured, they will try to retreat because they do have something called self-preservation. And if they don't have self-preservation, why? And so finally, when we're talking about lizardmen, yes, we have to remember they are hunters. They could be territorial. They have a swim speed. They would be tracking down the party. They would use their stealth. They might steal from the party. They may let the party go. They may stand at a distance to make their presence known so the party is pushed forward. Or if the lizardmen outwardly attack aggressively, what would cause them to do that? Which brings up an entire aspect of a side quest we may be interested in exploring. So remember, in the end, lizardmen are a very complex race that we have a lot of options from being a hunting party that's tracing down the party inside the darkness of the swamp, and it's causing the party some tension and pressure, or maybe they're just territorial, and you want to show the party where they shouldn't go. Lizardmen can be used for so many things that we should utilize them in their full depth. Not just as a swim speed, javelin throwing, shield wearing lizard person that attacks blindly, because they're not going to. So what are your thoughts? How would you use lizardmen in the, years to come, or your current campaign? Would you actually use them in a low-level campaign, or would you use lots of them in a mid-level campaign? I'm curious to know how you use them. And as always, guys, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment below and tell us what you think, and make sure you share this video so we can keep growing this channel. And as always, we will see you next time.